Especially very Indian is storage. We're obsessed with storage. We want more and more, and the storage is never enough. People are like so happy, like so many people are on an India high. The sensibility, they're loving that design, and then they mix it match with their modern touch. Yeah. So it looks amazing. Wow. Minimal, clean is what people are preferring to.
I love what you said. Good design is something that makes you travel. That's such a wonderful way of putting it. Hello and welcome to Real Advice on Real Estate, a flagship podcast by Birla Estates. My name is Nikhil Taneja, and this is where we will get real about the ups, downs, what's, whys, and trends about real estate. Today's guest on the podcast is Richa Bahl. Richa is a celebrity interior designer with a distinct flair for creating luxurious, bespoke spaces. Richa has redefined the way we view interiors in India. Known for her work with high-profile clients and celebrities, she blends traditional aesthetics with modern functionality to craft timeless interiors. Her designs have been featured in leading lifestyle magazines, and her expertise lies in translating personal style into sophisticated living environments. With a unique eye for detail, Richa has become one of the most sought-after names in the world of luxury interiors, creating spaces that are as comfortable as they are visually stunning. So welcome to the podcast, Richa. So happy to have you. I've been looking at your Instagram and just getting awed by all the incredible design that you've been putting together.
Thank you so much. Wow.
There's so many. I actually have so many things to ask you after seeing everything that you've done in your incredible career. But we start every conversation by having a segment called The First Thing. Maybe I want to get a little personal and ask you a few of your first things in your life so far. So I'll start by asking you, what's the first memory of growing up in your home that you have?
So I'm an army kid. I have lived all over the country, and my growing up memories have been such interesting memories, from living in Meghalaya, which is northeast part of the country, to living in Rajasthan, to moving to Maharashtra. So it's just been a very interesting journey of growing up, though all our army camps looked identical. I could be in Timbuktu, but our living spaces would be the same, because the army has its own sensibility, And I think my first sense of design and even observations came from those growing up days. We had this army mess where we would go, which had plants. The gardens would be immaculately done. The bricks would be put properly. The plants would be properly. Everything used to happen. The flowers would come season-wise. The glass gazebos which we had. The drinks in which the drinks were given. The glasses. That particular very attention to details. A lot of times my friends would make fun of me, when they come to my house. I would give them breakfast in breakfast plates, and lunch would be in lunch plates, and dinner would be in dinner plates. This is how you've grown up, Yeah. And so yes, I think this is what I was born into, and this is what I grew up to till I literally became a civilian and started living my different life from the army life. Yes.
But I love that. I can understand your origin story now so well, given the fact that you've been across so many different states of the country, and just having that eclectic cultural mix as part of you. I would imagine what that feels like. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But what do you think was your first realization of why homes are important?
Because I think our homes used to be like that. I said, what used to happen, everybody in army, once some person is posted somewhere, someone's posted somewhere, someone's collected something from somewhere. So there would be times where people would have identical carpets. Two people would have these little memories, my dad was posted in a field posting where the family is not allowed in Nagaland because it was going through a lot of trouble. And then there are these little spears which you get. There are these Naga shawls which you get. The cushion covers you get. We all had that kind of a sensibility running through our home. So I think somewhere that repetition and at the same time of seeing the same thing kind of grew like a seed in you, where you started identifying what a home design should be. Even the way our homes were designed, we all had open spaces attached to it. The importance of greenery. I think it's something, a sensibility which kind of drives you into and becomes like, so certain kind of mesh which you see. I would see that mesh, like I said, it could be a place called Kamti, which is like a small little town in Nagpur, near Nagpur, or like being in Delhi. The continuity of those same things coming in your visual start giving you like a sense of what should you include, So even when I design today, I'm not very disconnected from what I've grown up into, because then they become your very part of you. And also what used to happen is every summers we used to go down to my grandparents. It was kind of a small, it's not like a village itself, but like a small little, I don't know what it's called, like a little bit upgraded town, like a town kind of a thing, where my Nanaji used to be like principal of this school, and the homes they had, it was in the middle of a field, then sleeping on those nights. Then my Nani used to have this jali cupboard where the curd used to be put, like they used to have these niches. So lots of mix and match sensibility. Then you start traveling in life. Then you go to different places, and then you start seeing things which are kind of interconnected. And they are like vibing with the taste which you also have. So you kind of mix and match and then try and put it together for someone else, And end of the day, we all have some nostalgias in us. We all have a little history attached to us. So I try and bring that forward rather than leaving everything behind and just like going to completely different thing, because it's literally about connections by the end of the day.
So well said. I think it's literally about connections. Do you remember the first home that you fell in love with because of the design?
I think for me, again, I have to go back to my roots and think that the officer's mess used to be something which I really, really looked up to, because every small detail, like when we would be in a cold place, like we lived in Shillong for 5 years, those fireplaces, the way they were lit, like in army, those little things are so well thought through. Even the way the logs are placed to the wooden ceilings, seeing a lot of old architecture, because what happened is a lot of British structures then came into army. So those high ceilings, the wooden beams, the wood floors, the carpets, the plush, the sofa. So this officer's mess, I think, was something which there would always be a big centerpiece light there. There would always be plants there. So I think those remain like wow and big memories to me,
You've described them so well. I'm almost in my head fantasizing about being there at this point.
You must. If you ever got, nothing has changed in the army. So if you ever get an opportunity, you must.
It sounds so wonderful.
And the food, oh my God, the dining hall, you'll love it. If you're a foodie, there's a big table, and then the soup will be like, there's a man who'll come and first salute the boss, who will be the general, and the general will first walk, then everybody will walk after him, then everybody will be served soup. Then everything will come in a structure. It's great fun.
Do you remember the first home you bought and why?
So I think the first home happened because I think once I came to Bombay and I started my career in advertising.
Sure.
And as you like growing little older and you're figuring out this is where you want to live in your life, and then you need to like get a little more sensible with financial decisions. And then instead of living on rent, get a home of your own. So that's how the first home happened, because literally thought of like your own space. And little bit of what you're saying is also making me go back that somewhere my journey of doing this had started within me. And I wanted a space where I wanted it to be me rather than me living in a space where I had to like make do with how the space is. So I think The first house I think we bought, I think I just did all my fantasies in it. There was a Greece corner, there was a village corner. And,
Lovely.
and if I look back at it, no, it's not lovely. Now I look back at it and I say, what did I do?
Where was this? Which part of Bombay?
The Bandra. Bandra has been like the center point of my life, I think.
What is the first time you felt that interior design can be a career for you?
Honestly, I used to struggle a lot when I was in advertising because somewhere I guess my heart was not feeling, though I worked with the best of the agencies.
Yeah.
Best work culture, had so much fun, learned so much, and literally thank my advertising days today because literally learned so much there, which I can apply today here in life. But I would just join agencies after 3 years, quit again because I would be burnt out or whatever. But somewhere parallelly, I had kind of started doing this.
Sure.
And a lot of people would like tell me, okay, now that you're doing, like, help me set up my office. And I would do a lot of pro bono kind of stuff. And somewhere even I felt that, why would anybody want someone who's not really gone to the school and stuff. Sure. So these are things when you're kind of start in your journey, you explore your own potential and then you kind of doubt yourself. And until like somebody literally bought a house and gave me the keys and said, I think this is what you're meant to do. It just snowballed into a career, never planned it to be this way. It was just a thing in you, it's a journey which it's taken me on, really.
Wow. I'm sure there must be many such moments, but do you remember the first time you felt proud of working in your career?
Oh, I think there have been many, many moments like this where I've really, really felt proud, where, the kind of love and messages you get. And I think doing a home is not just putting things in places. Yeah. It's so much more, It's like, especially when, actually not only Bombay, I was going to say in a city like Bombay, but not Bombay. Anyone, home is something which is very personal and close to anybody. Yeah. And when they start having these attachment feelings to the space where they feel really proud, like I have people who have gone on holidays after 4 years of me handing over the house and they're video calling me from there, can we get this carpet? Can we get this rug? And I'm like, guys, it's your house now. Just do it, Wow. But they become so proud of their own spaces that they're like, now we don't want to do anything wrong, Because what also happens is when you're working with someone, it's like a journey where you literally sit. There's sometimes people get attached to a lot of things, and me as a third person might just come and say, I'm sorry. This is not going to your house, but you build. It's also instinctual. It's a relationship. Yeah. It's a thing where they also understand there is a reason why it's being said. And once they're on board and the teamwork and the trust happens, then they become even more this thing. So in a way, it's cute that they become more proud on this space. But like these many, many moments, like waking up to a sweet message from someone saying, I love having my coffee everywhere, every day in this corner, to someone saying this, someone walked in and, this is what happened. So, and I love getting such messages.
I mean, that's the dream, right? To be actually able to wake up in a home that you own and you love, and to be able to just be part of, being comfortable in every space.
Yeah, and to be able to give someone a space, I think that just, like, over the years, I've just realized, I started this because it was more of a passion and something which I loved, and to continue and keep doing that throughout is also what happens is when it kind of snowballs into like work, then sometimes it is work, but you need to put in that much, and then once you get that in return in terms of people loving what you've created for them, it's like fine. But it was worth it.
I mean, we've spoken about the personal aspects, and I want to get a bit of your expertise, because you have such a wealth of knowledge on this after having designed so many wonderful homes. But before we get into that, there's a question we're asking everyone on the podcast. I've obviously given a huge introduction to your work, but how would you describe what you do if it were to a 12-year-old? What is the most simplest way in describing what is design?
Today, a 12-year-old has a lot to ask and say. Today, sometimes my clients who have like a 6-year-old also says, what are your preferences? But then I would tell a 12-year-old or like someone, a child, if I were to explain, I said, I create feelings, I create familiarity, I create like a house where, you can live in happily, have memories, and it'll look beautiful. I think beyond that point, I don't know what a 12-year-old will understand, but yes, because they are in a different very frame of mind. They're only concerned about their own.
I mean, you've given such a wonderful, wholesome answer to this, because I think home being connected to feelings and, just a sense of comfort, I think that's a safe space in many ways, right? That's what homes are. Let's start talking about home design now, but from a trends perspective. What do you think were the key trends in home design when you started out many years ago, and where do you think they've evolved to today? How have they changed over time?
Okay, personally, I'm someone who doesn't enjoy trends at all, because I just feel that it's too much putting pressure to yourself to like be something. For me, like I said, what advertising really taught me is this one thing is like you're literally designing for somebody. So understand who are you designing for, and create that. Sometimes it could be vintage, sometimes it could be modern, sometimes it could be a New York loft thing, sometimes it could be contemporary, sometimes it could be villagey. It's just literally what the project demands, and you do that. However, of course, trends are there, and some are also nice, interesting trends. But I would advise always listen to your heart and do what you feels right for you, rather than being in the pressure of being in the trend. Over the years, what I've felt, and especially during COVID, I have felt that people have, and it's like when I interact and I'm sitting and taking a brief and understanding from people, what do you want to see in your house, I feel a lot of people don't want too many things now.
Interesting.
A minimal, clean is what people are preferring to. Compared to earlier, where people would love to hoard. I think amongst many things, COVID has taught, especially Indians, stop hoarding. So, and even in terms of colors, I think people are liking more lighter things, neater, more warm, more earthy. So trends keep changing, and they will keep happening. Sometimes it will be just like a color, but then also understand everybody will have terracotta homes there. Do you also want to have a terracotta? Which after 5 years will say, oh, my neighbor also has. So just be true to yourself. Enjoy these trends and see whatever you can pick and choose from them, but don't base everything around them.
But I mean, anecdotally, I've also observed almost everything that you've said, right? That there is a move and shift towards minimalism and, earthy colors, as you said. Where do you think this has come from? Do you think that the modern Indian consumer or homeowner, their sensibility is getting evolved? Is it the fact that everything is so accessible because there is Instagram, there's Pinterest? Yes. What do you think is the reason for this shift?
I think people are, especially during COVID, when they had to do everything yourself, you just realize the more you have, the more you have to take care of. Okay, so I think they're being more practical. Okay, and Indians as such are, whatever said and done, it's really got a lot to do with when we get something, will we take, like, there's so many people who are scared of getting plants at home. They're like, we're not good with plants. Okay. It's like a thing, like sometimes you get so much. And I think people just realized during COVID that there was so much they had collected, like sometimes it's very impulsive also. Like you go somewhere and then you'll be like, oh, this is so cute. You'll buy 10 of those. And then when you'll put them and then they become dust collectors. Okay. So it's that mindset which has kind of changed, and now people don't need too much convincing.
Yeah.
The other thing which is especially very Indian is storage. We're obsessed with storage. We want more and more, and the storage is never enough.
So true, so true.
Bed ke andar dalo, loft ke andar dalo.
I have so many boxes. I'm so embarrassed.
Exactly.
So many.
And it's got nothing to do with, status, money, nothing. It's us being Indians, okay?
Yep.
We don't like to throw anything. So I think that's also kind of gotten a little bit of change where people are like, fine, I'm ready to let go. Like when I work with someone, I say the first thing I'm going to do is come and throw things out.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep it. You're going to a new space, you have to go with a lot of less baggage than what you have, So like I said, it's like overall everything, like you're literally giving them a new lease, saying that this is the new way of living, and change your thoughts, change this. But it's really sweet and nice that people listen and they see the difference and then they appreciate that difference. That's happening. So those little mind shift, I think, like you said, a lot of things are happening around us these days. There's so much. I think people are also kind of becoming cool and easy with adapting, which was not there earlier. You were so attached and stuck to things. That's kind of changing, which is nice.
Let me ask specifically to that, because it may be true in most cases, but I would still imagine there are, especially again, as I said, through the rise of so many places on the internet that give you a sense of home design. I think almost everyone believes they're experts now in design. Like I feel like the regular person today feels that they have just as much knowledge as somebody who may have spent years and years in doing this. How do you find that balance, or help people find that balance? People who feel like they know more about design and they've come to you to just execute, where you actually have to explain that this is what you would need, but this is also what's aesthetic. How do you find that balance?
Yeah. So it's funny because this happens every time, because when people come to you, they come with these many references and you're like, okay, fine. And once, like how the doctor says, don't be a Google doctor. I studied this, I know it better. So don't read what's the symptoms on the Google can be completely different from what's really happening in your body. So it's literally true of my world also. So sometimes, also reached a point where I'm just like, fine, sure, let me go through it. And then sometimes they're really like nice, and sometimes they just don't make any sense, because they've just been, it's like you said, everybody has become an expert, and they like, but I think this will look nice. And then sometimes it takes a little while to travel that journey with them, and you have to have that patience, and you have to tell them, and from what they started and what we make are completely different, because then they travel that path with you, and they understand. Sometimes what happens is people will come with full gung-ho. This is what we want. And after they realize that it is not just like putting 2 and 2 together, it's a lot of work, they're like, just do whatever. Just tell us when it's ready. So that also happens, because you just realize it's not just about a picture which you see. There are 20 things around it, which require decision, which require planning, which require budget, which needs proper, sometimes the kind of floors we do, immense amount of planning needs to go, like what will go first, and when do you polish, what happens, and something like, there are times when we do natural stuff, and by mistake, if anybody has put anything which has got an acid or a wine kind of a thing, the thing is ruined. So it involves so much that when
long term as well, right?
When people are there because they're partnering there with you to see this process, they like back out and they're like, fine, we can't take so many decisions, like every small little, like a handle requires, the window finish, there's so much which goes into making a house.
So, I mean, one of the things that I wanted to ask you immediately after I got to know that you're going to be our guest on this show, no one really actually has an understanding of what is the right budget that should go into designing your home, right?
Yeah.
There are so many, there's no course. Nobody's like teaching you out there. There are no influencers who are saying, here's how much you can do it in.
Yes.
So there is an understanding that sometimes DIY is cheaper. And then there's an understanding that DIY might actually add to your budgets because you might be taking the wrong decisions, you might be adding wrong things. How does one decide when they're about to go and buy their first home or design their first home? How do they decide what is the right budget? What is an advice you would have for something like that?
So typically, honestly, there is a little bit of a formula to this. Okay. Now, see, I've worked in all parts. I've done homes in Calcutta, Delhi, Indore, Hyderabad, Bombay, and I've just realized this is more in terms of relation to the materials. Okay, like for example, we use real woods. Okay, we use sand, cement. Okay, very basic utility things. So any project has a lot of these, slots where what goes, and now one has to always think back. Supposing this, I'm saying in context when you're doing something where you have a shell apartment. Of course, when you've got something already from a builder, then there are less things which you'll end up doing.
Sure.
But usually when you start from scratch, there is, again, in this field, there is something which can be for $1,000 and there can be something which is for 10,000. It's literally like fashion, I can go buy something from somewhere and then I can go to a designer and buy something from the designer. So the range is really huge. Now you need to figure out your calculations of literally what's the budget you want to spend. Because once you bought a house, then financially what is the extent you can go to. Because the extent can be here, the extent can be here, the extent can be here. Now it's your decision what numbers you can.
But how does one know that?
So there is a per square feet cost, but then like I said, it's very subjective. So in fact, till today, every time I get a project, I can't say, because I did that much, I will do this much for you. Okay. But then all of us kind of work within some things are standard. I don't want anybody calling me at 7 or 8 in the night and saying, my bathroom is leaking, my handle has come off, this thing is not opening. I have to use good material.
Correct.
I have to use sturdy material. So those are the standards. Now when you do those standards, then of course an X comes. So it's literally it's related to quality, using, functionality, look, feel. So yes, like when people really want to get down and see what is the number, it's very difficult to put. Honestly, it's very difficult to put a number.
And your perspective on DIY?
But DIY, again, like you only said, there are some things which you could completely go wrong on. And I've seen a lot of people do that. They do this and then they come back and they said, you know what, we thought this color will be like this, but this color has turned out completely different from what I saw. Small little things like when you paint, we all have shade cards which we follow.
Correct.
But the shade card which you see and then the paint which happens sometimes is completely poles apart. The coffee color you see on the shade card and the coffee color you see on the wall will be two different things altogether. So that's why, there is a reason why then we experiment, we do samples. It's a process.
And they look sometimes different on camera also, right? You take a picture and it looks
Lighting
different.
changes everything. Like, sometimes this was happens and people come to me with the reference, but ye color. I said, look, this has been shot. It was shot in this light. It was day light. It was night light. So it requires so much. Like, that's what I said. That's why people after a while say, bhaiya, jab video hoega, bula dena. We can't do so much because then they realize so much goes. Every little thing, like I've put like a nail on the wall. I'm not puncturing any electrical wire. I am not touching any plumbing line. There's so much which goes into making a house. Especially when we start first, it's literally like it's like a skeleton, It's like, and then keep adding layers to it, So once you have a plan in place, then you superimpose. So that you keep doing that at every level, because under the base is something which the foundation cannot change.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a little tricky. It's not so easy.
It never is, right? Yeah.
So just want people to know that.
So I also wanted to ask you, what's your view on Vastu? Because this is something that your parents have always said. But I'm wondering, is there a science to it, that the modern Indian should understand before going about designing their homes?
Oh, Vastu. I have like a love and hate relationship with Vastu, because sometimes people get obsessed with Vastu. Okay, now if you're obsessed with Vastu, then what happens is then it becomes very difficult, because like I was telling you, it's so many things. When you do a house, where are you going to put position, where the bathroom is going to be. Now suddenly somebody tells me, but this as per bathroom cannot be in this direction, it has to be. It makes no sense, because everything in your planning goes for a toss. So it kind of sometimes become a little bit painful. Vastu had originally a very nice, if you kind of see the good parts of it, it makes sense. It tells you direction of light, where should you wake up to, how should light should filter, water. So few of the things are nice. But the thing is, we also have to realize, especially when you are working in a city like Bombay, okay, infrastructure, real estate, it's a very big thing, Now, tomorrow to get everything in place, right, and connection and everything, it's a task. Even it's a task for a builder, it's task for an architect, it's task for a designer, even for people, So one has to be a little more flexible to figure out, for us again as Indians, the entrance makes a big difference. How do you enter? It should be a little raised, and what color it should have. It should be north, east, and so there are lots of obsessive things about it. But I don't like to follow them, honestly, because I just feel good energy, good vibes. It's the process of making the house. It's literally like the fun you have, it shows in the house you make. It's the energies, For me, the biggest thing is, 99% of my clients are my close friends, okay? And then I just realized that when you do a house, it's so personal, right?
Correct.
So a lot of times people will ask me, when you make friends home, doesn't what happens to your relationship? Don't you guys fight and whatever? I said, no, for me, it's the other way around, because there's so much more pressure and there is so much more energy of fun, which goes in the process, which comes into the house. So I think people don't look at that.
You also brought up this thing about cities like Bombay, where the space is less. There is a crunch of space. For me personally, what I've observed to be good design is when I go to a home which might not be very big, but somehow design helps it seem spacious.
Yes.
I would love some tips and advice on how can people living in smaller apartments in cities like Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, etc. make their spaces seem more warm and inviting, even with limited space.
Yeah. So, it's a very nice question, because a lot of times people don't ask this. People just ask about colors and things like that. So, I like this question. I think there are lots and lots of ways in which you can make. It's not about the size. It's about the taste. It's about what little things which you do. Again, it boils down to you doing what is going to be you, rather than trying to be someone else. So, typically in a small space, don't put dark colors. Now, these are very practical things, because then the darker the color you put, the smaller the space looks. Even in terms of flooring, do less clutter, do more plain, do more earthy. That makes it look bigger. So there's a little hacks which one can add. But like smaller apartments and exists in New York and London. The vibes are really nice. So
Yeah.
so it's similarly in our city also. It's literally you can do lots with the spaces.
Like I've seen such interesting designs in Japan, right? Japan is known for
Of course.
finding a way of making small spaces almost seem surreal.
Yeah.
In the way that they.
So neat, right?
So
like
neat,
just
yeah.
just simple light wood, whites,
Yeah.
very minimal linen looking stuff. It just makes it really nice.
Yeah.
That might not be everybody's cup of tea, but then you have to kind of figure out that if you're going to do a clutter also works, but then it has to be a happy clutter.
Yeah. I mean, while talking to you, I've started realizing that I also know a little bit about design. You don't even realize that, these are things that you pick up
Try
almost,
it.
Yeah, instinctively, right? But I'm now curious to know, Richa, how do you see interior and home design evolving? Where do you see it going from here? Let me also frame it in this way. What do you find exciting about where Indian design is going and where international design is going?
I think the world is becoming flatter and flatter, and it's amazing that there's so much crossovers happening.
Yeah.
I'm doing 2 projects. I've just finished a house in San Francisco. I'm starting a house in New Jersey. There's so many properties in Goa, Delhi being done by European architects. So it's just a very interesting crossover happening. Recently a friend of mine bought a farmland outside Delhi. Is doing a farmhouse, and again I forget which country, but he's got a European architect to make it, and then he'll get an Indian team who will execute it. So it's becoming so open. People are like so happy, like so many people are on a India high, and it's really becoming a one thing. Most of the homes in London's, because of the British Raj, etc. There's so much ikat, which is Indian in their designs. There's so much of an antique vintage furniture. It's like a thing which they've also carried forward.
How interesting.
So the lines are very blurring, and it's a very exciting time. There's so much to do,
Yeah.
and so many new materials are coming up. So interesting. A lot of eco-friendly stuff is coming. A lot of stress and sustainability is happening. So it's very interesting.
Do you see that other Indian elements of design, let's say, that you see international clients who are non-Indian, that they find exciting or they find...
Oh yeah, they love it.
Yeah?
They love our materials, they love our colors, and it's interesting how they look at what we look every day, use it in such an interesting, refreshing way. It's like it's amazing.
Example?
Like for example, they will use some kind of a fabric of ours, okay, but that fabric mixed with, they could take it on the walls, or they've done some kind of interesting fabric for your upholstery, with something which is completely modern, and it mixes up so beautifully. Our rugs. So many of our Indian carpets and rug brands are doing phenomenally well internationally, because they are loving the sensibility, they're loving that design, and then they mix it match with their modern touch.
Yeah.
So it looks amazing.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to ask something which should be very simple for you to answer. What is your best designed home?
Oh God, no. Please don't ask me that question. That's like the most difficult question. Right now, it's the house I just finished in San Francisco, because I've just shot it and come back, and it was so much fun to do that house. Firstly, I learned so much. Today I love my Indian contractors so much because I had to deal with the people there where to explain one thing, it took like 10 meetings to explain them. No, I want the thickness to be this much, not that much. And then it's crazy. Like, I really value my country today after like working. I did a house in Dhaka also. After Dhaka, so I was like, India, I love you. So you kind of see So this is very fresh for me right now. So, the whole experience of working, then, like doing a lovely mix of them, of course, because they live in San Francisco. So they're going to live there. They're US citizens, but they're Indians in heart. So what is that little mix one can do? So sent a lot of stuff from India, setting it was great fun, Lovely. So that's like the favorite for me right now.
Fair enough. Okay, another simple question. What's the best design that you've seen elsewhere in someone else's home that you wish you would have done?
I love this architect. I don't know if you heard of his name. Is Jeffrey Bawa from Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And I love like anything to do with whatever he has done. I mean, he passed many years ago, but they have kind of revived. There is Jeffrey Bawa Trust, and they have these gorgeous homes done by him all over the world, and then they keep reviving them, keep adding to it. They're still doing a lot of work also in his name, but it's the same sensibility,
What do you like about his work?
It's very basic, yet it is beautiful. It's like, it's literally bringing the outside inside. So if you always have some greens which are coming into inside, See, when we look at a space, we don't look at one thing. We're absorbing so much. You're walking from A place to B place. So how the place makes you travel, right? It's that is the most important thing rather than just getting one thing right. So with Jeffrey Bawa designs, like beautiful artifacts, gorgeous pieces, wood, like that wood would be like something which is just out of like a freshly cut part of a beautiful tree. It's beautiful. Please see, and then you'll know what I mean.
I'm gonna search about him now. But I love what you said. Good design is something that makes you travel. That's such a wonderful way of putting it. Our final question in this segment and this section is something that I ask everyone. Right? Today, if somebody is about to design their first home, what is the first real advice that you would give them that will make them feel more confident in that process?
I'd say really put your hand on your heart and literally listen to what you want the space to be, and do not go by what others have done and what is there. The starting point honestly is from there. If you love books, your house can be a place which is filled with books and it'll look beautiful. Because people really don't look at how they consume their space. They rather look at how it should look. They're two different things, So please start at a point where understand how you're going to use this space and who you are, and then do these things. Because so many times I go to people's places and I'm like, but this is just not a reflection of who you are. And it's not saying anything about you, that's very important. The place should talk something about you. So if you're going to put like a gold sofa, then think twice.
Has that happened?
All the time.
Really?
I don't do it.
I mean, sure, people have their own taste. But again, really nice differentiation that you've made, Don't just look at the space, but look at how you're going to use it.
Yeah.
I really like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is fantastic. Learned so much already. And our final segment is rapid fire, as it happens. It's called 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a very simple section in that sense. It's called 4, 3, 2, 1 real advice. I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and you have to give. You have to be quick with your answers on this one.
Okay, so, I'll try my best.
We'll try and see. We're not giving any hampers, but the audiences are definitely going to judge. 4 tips you will give to a first-time owner.
Get someone who's going to really give you real advice. Okay. Please do not put too many lights in your house. It's an overkill. Okay. Make sure that you have a good bathroom. Okay, and make the house around who you are.
Wow. That's really well done. Although I just want to know, what does a good bathroom mean?
It's like, good bathroom means like it's bathrooms for me, and I think for everyone, for all of us, are spaces which literally are something which the first thing you see, These are things which you use often. It needs to give you an aha moment. So invest in that bathroom. How much are you going to be in your room? You're going to be, and especially all of us who have this crazy metro lives where we are like running from helter to skelter, and then we literally go to our homes to sleep. There are other spaces in the houses which we use more, right? So bathroom is a very, very big part of who we are. So invest in a good bathroom. Don't compromise there.
Wow.
You know?
So 3 myths that you would like to break about this sector.
About this sector. One is that people often ask me, when is a good time to buy? And I'm like, there's never a good time to buy. When you have the money, when you love something, and there's something which is completely correct for you, just go for it. Okay, because things are going to go crazy anyways in life. So why wait? Okay. The third myth is that the home should be about Vastu. That's not true. It's about what you put in, how you make it. It's many, many, many more things. So please don't base your decisions on that. And again, this which is my peeve is this lights. Okay, anything which has too many lights is not good lighting. Please change that thinking.
Minimal.
It should be mood. It should be mood lighting. It needs to be good lighting. It's not over lighting. And typically all the builder apartments and all the homes, recently I've done a house where my only job was to change the lights.
Wow.
It's a 7,000 square feet
How
house
interesting.
with 200 lights on the ceiling. So yeah.
I think my wife is going to get along with you very well because she has the same pet peeves about lighting. And she really prefers the minimal. She's absolutely always is, right? So 2 things about design that only you know.
Oh God, I don't know what are the 2 things which only I know, but things which I really believe in and I do is, like I said, for me, home is not just a physical space which you create. It's the environment, it's the mood, it's the feeling which you create, and that's what I concentrate on. I don't look at anything else, and that's literally my starting point, or the overall lingering thing around it. And 2 is that I don't shy away from experimenting. I don't like to do what everybody else does. In the sense that it doesn't have to be because someone's done beige walls, I need to do beige walls. Literally be true to what it is. Because sometimes you meet people who are very vibrant and they need a vibrant space, and you need to give them, you won't give them red, but you might give them something very interesting in place of a red, but that matches them, So stick to the gun of what is true to the project rather than falling into saying that, because this is what it is, I should do this,
Fair. And a final question, what is that one real advice you have gotten from someone else about real estate that you would like to give us as well?
Regarding real estate, I think it will be similar to what I said. It's literally, and it's out of experience also. When I was house hunting for my own house, and people say the market is going to go down, the market is going to go up, and this will happen and that will happen, and literally it's not true. Just home is very, 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 very critical and very close to heart. And it really makes a big difference what you buy and where you buy to you. So don't get panicky and jump into it. Literally, actually, now that I'm talking, I just realized when we're doing homes also, and this is something which I tell people again out of experience, is just when everything falls in place and you do it with a certain energy, right? You only get 10 times more.
Absolutely.
So it's just go with that faith, jump in, and then it always falls in place. It's never gone wrong, honestly. So just listen to your heart. You like the light, you like that view. Of course, sometimes we all have practical things where we are like, oh my God, but I can't afford it, or it's not working out for some reason. But if it is, don't think twice.
Oh, thank you so much, Richa. I've learned so much already, and I think I'm going to flex now my understanding of design with everybody else. I'll just keep telling everyone, minimal is the way to go.
You become an expert.
Don't use too many lights. But there's so much that I've learned, and I think everyone would have learned. Thank you so much for your time and giving such incredibly insightful tips. It's been so amazing listening to you.
I had so much fun. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Richa.
having
Thank
me.
you so much for being here. And that's a wrap for this episode. I just find it incredible the wealth of information we're getting from everybody on this podcast. If you are hungry for more too, we have got you covered. Head over to billaestates.com/real advice. It's packed with everything you need to know about real estate. Blogs, a chatbot to answer your burning questions, and so much more. Keep an ear out for our upcoming podcast too. We've got some very exciting episodes in the pipeline. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Nikhil Taneja signing off. Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating world of real estate.